bridges, the markets, the bathhouses. Shimon Yochai said that whatever they did, the Romans, all these things, they didn't do it for our benefit. They had other intentions in mind. The point of the bridges was not to help us, was to collect taxes. The point of the morning, the point of the bathhouses was for their own personal pleasure, but what we gained on the deal. And the point of the markets was to create a place of men, women, and places to be able to get prostitution going. So he spoke bad about what the government's intentions were, and the government was informed about what he said, about that conversation, because there was another person that was there, Yehuda ben Gerim, who, so to speak, according to one shot, innocently shared the news to other members, to people, but some news that you share, it might be very sensitive, and that was a problem of lashon hara, because you can't say something that could be dangerous for somebody. You can't just say I didn't realize. You have to be. I mean, you have to be smart, right? And he hid. Rabbi Shimon Yochai hid in the cave for 12 years, and came during that time. He was learning the whole day, and he said that his clothing. He was very concerned. It was him and his son that hid in the cave, and he was very concerned that his clothing would get worn out. So they got undressed and they covered themselves with the sand, and that's what covered them throughout those 12 years. But every time it was time to daven, they would put back the clothing on for davening, and they would take it off the rest of the day. That was in their body. Their nakedness was covered from the sand, and therefore they were able to learn Torah throughout the day. It's a special dress code that you have to have when you pray, coming in front of Hashem, having onus in front of Hashem, and therefore it's not appropriate to pray in the sand being undressed, even though technically you're not, technically your nakedness is covered, but that's not a way to approach God.
But it's a low standard for learning.
It's the lowest standard for learning, right? Meaning we set an example, technically be at a swimming pool and you're in your bathing suit and you want to take a drink, you could say a bracha in your bathing suit because your nakedness is covered. But you can't pray to Hashem. You can't say that midah. Can't go ahead and say that midah in a bathing suit. It's a different type of audience. You have an audience with God. So therefore, people need to be more sensitive how they dress when it comes to shul. We mentioned that really in the summertime when it's quite hot, people should pack for themselves some pants that they can throw over their shorts for davening, my humble opinion. Now, one of the members say certain communities, it's common that people are davening monastery in shorts.
Israel, sure.
In Israel, right, where it's very hot, right? Exactly, but that doesn't mean it's exactly correct. Meaning it's not, or I'm not coming, it doesn't mean that's the real right way to go. Because I don't think when you have an audience with a nobleman, a prince, a government official, you go be going in shorts. I don't think, and you're praying to Hashem, so there should be a certain type of level of respect. That's the case. Now, I'm not going to say, if a guy should say, Rabbi, if I can't pray in my shorts, I'm not praying. Okay, what am I going to do? What should I do? You know what I mean? I'm going to tell her, okay, so pray in your shorts, but I'm not, but it's not the way it should, in my humble opinion, that, it should be. When people have these things, you just throw something over you. So even these long, whatever, So that's what I would say. So we're on the Gemara. If you want to send to the group, and we missed you a lot. We're on the Gemara. Really, if we want to just take a start back at 33b3 on the bottom paragraph. 33b3, the Gemara says, Itfu tresa shnei b'marata. They were in the cave for 12 years. 12 years is a tremendous amount of time. And I wonder if, this obviously everything is morning asaf, everything is calculated, why exactly 12 years, but because remember because the Caesar, the emperor of Rome, was alive during those 12 years. As long as the emperor of Rome was alive during those 12 years, there was this decree against him. Morning, Mark. And so we just said,
Morning, Rabbi.
good to see you. And we just said that they were in the cave for 12 years. After 12 years, Ata Eliyahu, good morning, Simon. Eliyahu Hanavi, see, Eliyahu came, and here Simon comes. See that? Eliyahu came, become a pitcha de marata. How do you like that, Simon? And Eliyahu comes, and he stays by the entrance of the cave. And Omar, he says, Man lo yode lebar yochoi de mit kesa. Who is going to make known? Who's going to notify Bar Yochai, meaning Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, that the Caesar has died, and not only has he died, but his decree for the death of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is gone. He passed away, and his decrees are gone. It's like a new fresh start for the new Caesar. He's not bound by all the decrees of the past government, so to speak. So, meaning to say, this was a way of telling Reb Shimon ben Yochai that the coast is clear. You could come out of the cave. You and your son could come out of the cave. And nafku. So as a result of that, they left the cave. We're now on 34. We're just finishing 33b3 on the bottom, about to turn the page. They saw people that were plowing the field and planting in the field. And what was their response to this? They said, Amma Shimon ben Yochai was upset. These people, you know what? Instead of, if they would be committed, he understood that, there's a bracha that if you keep the Torah and the mitzvot, you will be blessed, that your work will be done by other people. That if you go ahead and if you keep the Torah and the mitzvot in such a high level, your dedication to Hashem is so great that Hashem will make it that you'll be successful that you won't have to go work yourself. You have the other people in the non-Jewish world, good morning, doing the work for you. And the fact that these people are planting and plowing, and it's a sign that they are leaving, they're giving up from the next world, and they're involved and they're engaged in this worldly activities, which in a certain sense, this week's parsha is the parsha of Toldot. And we spoke about last night, we had a Zoom on the parsha last night, and we spoke about the fact that Esav gave away the next world for this world. He wasn't interested in being the spiritual leader that comes with being the firstborn. He gave it up because he'd rather live a life of drinking and pleasures. And we said every person, every Jew is faced with the same question. Am I acting like Esav? What do I give up from the next world? Do people give up? Not necessarily they're going to give up the whole next world like Esav did, but they're going to give up some of the next world, the great portion, the high level portion they could get by trading in the next world for certain pleasures of this world. What do you say about that idea, Mark? It's a powerful question, right?
Big, very big.
Right? I mean, so and look at Shimon Yochai was saying about these Jews. He wasn't
We
saying they're not.
all, we all, we all, when we're looking, I think when I'm learning with my other rabbi, it says pleasure is is pointless, and it was very hard for me to understand because the pleasure is pointless, and when we lose a great rabbi, like when you lose a great person, it's real. Like it's better almost than pleasure. And I was like, I can't understand it. And it basically is talking about olam haba and olam hazeh, because the person that has the pleasure, and there were two opinions on it, contradicting opinions. The other one was saying when Hashem gives you pleasure in the world to come, that's real. But pleasure in this world is for the small things that you do, and it's not the ikar, it's not the big idea. And conversely, when you have some suffering here, it's kapara for the small things, for the gibbeling, as opposed to when someone does something wrong here, there's big suffering later. So it was very complicated. But this is the idea: is the materialism, pure materialism in this world is it's nothing. It's nothing, and I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty because I grapple with it. I say, oh, wait a minute. If I get a new suit, I'm happy with it. Oh, it's to serve Hashem better. But where do you cross the line where it's not really and it's just for you? That's what I grapple with because I know I'm guilty of wanting a material pleasure and justification say so I could serve Hashem better. Yeah, maybe, but some of it is purely for my pleasure, and when it is, that's really not good.
Okay.
So I know I'm guilty of that, and I think that's what this is. We all have a little of that. At least I do. Have what Isab is going for this world.
Right, right. And this is what Shimon Yochai is saying when he comes out of the cave. Good morning, Nathan. That he's saying
Morning.
these people are being involved in the worldly focus, worldly items when they could be involved in more holier things, greater things.
Very so, yeah.
If they again, but he understood that they would merit not have to do the work themselves if they would be doing the will of Hashem fully. So what happened was kol makom shenotnim einehem, wherever they would look at, wherever the Rabbi Shimon Yochai and his son would look at, when they would be upset, when they see that people are focusing on this world more than putting the proper focus on the next world. So what happened? They actually a fire came out. It sounds like through their eyes, a fire came, like a laser fire came and burnt those areas or those people or whatever. I mean, it's hard to say burnt the people, but any place, maybe if they're upset at you're planting in the field, boom, the field will get burnt. The fire came out on the field. So Yata Bat Kol, a heavenly voice came out, V'amr Lahem, and said to the rabbis, right, exactly what Avram says. Are you coming to destroy my world? Meaning the fire is coming out and you're burning up places because of your being upset with the people focusing on this world. And they were in the cave for the last 12 years. They were focused only on the next world. They were in this high spiritual focus of learning the whole day, and that's what they were doing. And Hashem's the heavenly voice says, did you come out from the cave to destroy my world? meaning to say, you know what, if people are not doing the right thing, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be creating a fire to burn. That's not the response that's appropriate here.
I have another question.
Yes.
After the Leviticus that they learned from this Mikre and they return to the cave kind of here,
Right.
they learn Machloket in the Mishnah between Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Shimon. That Rabbi Shimon says that you don't need to go to work to get your parnasa. You have to learn on there. And Rabbi Ishmael says, no, you have to go there in Haolam, you have to go to work. So since that happened, so I don't know if the machloket comes before, after the Mikre, but I'm saying, like, if they learn that there's some people that need to work, why Rabbi Shimon still is thinking that, no, you don't have.
Morning, Ralph. Rav Shimon ben
Morning, Rabbi.
Yochai still, Rav Shimon ben Yochai still holds that if people would dedicate themselves to service Hashem completely, they would be doing the will of Hashem me'ava, out of love. Hashem would provide for them, and they provide for them, and they would not need to go to work themselves. That's what he held. So what happened was, so the heavenly voice said, "Are you coming to destroy my world?" Ralph, we're on 34B4, 34B4 in the top column. Good morning, Ronnie. So what happened? Amri, they said, Mishpat v'sha'im b'gehenim shnei masa chodesh. In Russia, how long does he go to Gehenim? That means after the Risha'im get the Risha'im go ahead and they go to Gehenim for 12 months. They're judged for 12 months to clean their stains of the neshama in order that they should be able to enter to Gan Eden, to paradise. And so what happened was the Risha'im go to Gehenna for 12 months. So they said, again, one second, I skipped a line. So what happened was, are you coming to destroy my world? They told Rav Shimon ben Yochai and your son, you have to go back into the cave. You got to go back into the cave. Hada Azul, they went back in the cave. Itivu Tracy Yerchishata. They stayed in the cave another year. In a certain sense, they looked at this like a jail sentence, like they were being punished to go back into the cave. Amri Mishpat Rishon beGehenim Shnei Masa Chodesh. How long does a wicked person stay in Gehenim? He stays in Gehenim for 12 months.
That's why you do Kaddish for 12 months for an evil person and Kaddish only for 11 months for a normal person.
Right, but the Ashkenazim, they don't want to consider they only do for 11 months, and then end the yard side. We don't want to. You want it to be considered we don't want to look at anybody as they were wicked. Therefore, they don't say the Kaddish. Right, that's their minhag, that they say 11 months and then they stop. Everyone has different customs. Right, you also right, stop at 11, and then you have a week off, and then you
Right. Week off.
right. But they just stop at 11 completely, but Ashkenazim, and then they do the yard side, because they don't want anyone to be. We don't want to consider anybody like a Rasha, because the Rasha is judged in Gehenna, and obviously by saying the Kaddish during this time period, it's gonna elevate the person and be a great atonement that they should not spend too much time, hopefully not have to be in Gehenim. And Yatsa Bat Kol, and after they said to themselves, the judgment of Rishon's Gehenim is 12 months, and then because we sat here this amount of time, so we should have to we have reached a kapara, an atonement for prosecute.
That rule doesn't apply to Rabbi Shimon. It seems to be that the Gemara is implying that they acted like Reshaim, so they have to stay a full 12 months instead of staying 11 months, 1 week, whatever it is. Why?
They looked at themselves. Of course, they weren't Risha'im. They weren't wicked people. They looked at themselves. They looked at themselves that, you know what? If a Rasha, a wicked person, has to stay in Gehenna for 12 months, so we, we're not more than that. We're not worse than that, Rasha. And therefore, it's time for us to come out. But yet, it's interesting. Once they said they recognized themselves to be ready to go out, at that time, then the heavenly voice said, okay, time for you to go out.
But there is another part of the Gemara that says that Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Elazar, they say that they can sustain all their work with the Torah. So how this is contradicting the that they say that they can sustain all the work, but that means that they are not. They are the more.
Very good. We're going to get to that Gemara coming up right away. Stay tuned. So it's coming right up. So the Gemara says, the heavenly voice came out and said, sometimes, when the rabbis down here say something, what you say down here, what the rabbi, heaven says, okay, that, we accept that, the way the rabbis feel down here, that's the law. So the fact that the rabbis down here felt it's time for us to come out, the heavenly voice says, okay, time for you to come out. Go out from your cave. Nafku. Now they came out of the cave, and the reason why they needed to be in the cave for those 12 months is because their feeling was they were a little bit too strong by burning up places because of money mark, because of burning the places that they saw, because they were upset with the people are not focusing on what they need to go ahead and focus, and maybe the burning, perhaps the fire, is like, was like just like Gehenna is the fire, refer to Gehenna as the fires of Gehenna. So maybe in a certain sense they were like punishing the people who were, with fire, which indicates Gehenna, for going ahead and using this world for throwing in the changing this world, not using the next world, exchanging it for this world for the pleasures. Good morning, Jaime.
Morning.
Good to see you. We're on 33b-4. So, Jaime, you're coming into an amazing Gemara. And the Gemara says, it's talking about Rav Shimon ben Yochai and his son. They were in the cave for 12 years. They came out of the cave. And then they went back in the cave for a year because both Rav Shimon ben Yochai and his son, when they saw people not doing the right thing, they looked at them and like a fire came to consume the areas that they were upset about. And they were told to go back in the cave, and they went back for another year, and they came out. And now when they came out, instead of both rabbis looking at things, and when they're upset, if the people are wasting their time from being involved in mitzvot and Torah, so what happened was if his son, Rav Shimon Yochai's son, if he would look at something, and as a result of that, still punishment came to that area that he looked at, Rabbi Shimon was able to heal, to fix up anything that his son was looking at, and as a result of his son looking at it, there was some sort of ailment that happened, a wound that happened to someone, but the father, when Rabbi Shimon Yochai would look over there, he would go ahead and he would masi. Rabbi Shimon would heal. But it seems, but after they came out, it still seemed that the son, when his son would look at something, it would. What did he say? What did it say at 30? See, right, they would cease to exist. Now it would cease to exist. It knocked it out, right? But then it says whatever. Let's take a look at 31. Mark is saying. See the Gemara, the art scroll. It says whatever Elazar would destroy through his fiery gaze, Rabbi Shimon would heal it, right? That's 33, right? And because Rabbi Shimon was older, he had a much more merciful, compassionate look, someone would say, on the world. But you're looking at 31, you're looking at 31. That was earlier. 31 was before they went back in the cave for the year. 31 is when they looked at something and it burnt up. And now, if they came out of the cave, when the son looked at something, and as a result, if the son was upset at something, that people are doing the wrong things, and that looking, that bad feeling, looking at it with negativity, feeling bad, upset about people not doing the right thing, and there was a certain punishment was given, his father would look, and his father would heal. And he said, Amalo, Rabbi Shimon said to his son, Bini, this is what Avram was saying before. Dai lolam aniva ata. You know, the fact that me and you, Rabbi Shimon Yochai, and you, Rabbi Elazar, my son, that we have such dedication to Torah and mitzvot, and not to get caught up in the pleasures of this world, that's enough to keep the world going. And therefore, you don't need to go ahead and be so upset and as a result of that, punish all the people, all the Jewish people that are not doing what we feel is supposed to be done. The fact is, we're enough to keep the world going. Don't hold others to that standard, and don't punish the other people. And that's right. Okay, Baruch Hashem, with your help, Mark. And so that's what he says. Meaning he spoke to his son, don't be so makbid, don't be so particular about the Jewish people that are engaged in work when they could have been learning, they could have reached a higher level, and they would not have to be so busy in the work. And that's what he told him. That's why you come to the class.
The world has enough.
The world has been,
for that.
right, meaning,
You have to imagine.
which line are you reading, Mark? My son, the rest enough told us in you and me alone.
Yeah.
Right. Meaning he's saying to his
Yeah.
son,
We
carry the world.
Yeah.
We could carry the world, me and you. The father and son, we could carry the world through. Meaning he's trying to tell his son, why is he now? Of course, Mark said, what do you mean? We need the whole world.
Yeah.
But he's trying to tell his son, take it easy. Take it easy. I know you mean well. You're upset that people, it bothers you so much to your core that so many people are just busy working when they don't need to be working. They could be doing mitzvot and masim tovim, and they could be learning and doing mitzvot. It bothers you so much. But your level of, when it bothers you, there's like a punishment to the people. I don't want any punishment to the people, the father says. I don't want the Jewish community, maybe they could have, they have potential to do better, but don't, me and you, we're going to keep the world going, and don't be so strong with the people. And then the Gemara now says a very nice story. This is what I was saying for Jaime, that I think is a coming story. I think you'll like. Chazu Sabah, the Havi Noka Trei Medani Asa. They saw a older gentleman that was holding 2 bundles of hadassim. When late Friday afternoon, Virahit, and he was running. The guy was running, like today's day and age, people have flowers before Shabbat. People buy flowers in honor of Shabbat. Many people do. I'm not saying you have to, but if you don't and you're married, you might get in trouble. But Virahit ben Hashmashot, and he was running. This guy was running because Shabbat is coming. The Friday rush, right, Simon? The Friday rush. He's running with the hadassim. 2 bundles, not 1 bundle, 2 bundles with hadassim. Amrle, Hani Lamala. So Rabbi Shimon Yochai and his son said, what do you do with the hadassim? What's it? It's not Havdalah time. We don't need the hadassim for Havdalah. What are you having the hadassim? So they said, Amr Lahu, the Kvod Shabbat, it's the honor of Shabbat. We're going to smell them on Shabbat. We'll make a bracha on them on Shabbat. It's a pleasure. There's a pleasure of eating. There's a pleasure of smelling. I'm going to enjoy the Shabbat with the pleasure of smelling the hadassim. So the Tassarevi asked him, so why do you have 2 bundles? You want to smell hadassim? How many bundles do you need to smell? 1 bundle should be enough. So what did it? This is the beautiful thing they told him. Chad, the older man said, Chad, one bundle is Keneged Zachar, and one bundle is Keneged Shamar. Hashem said, good morning, Mars. The 10th commandments, I said that they brought Zachar at Yom HaShabbat the Kasher. You have to remember the Shabbat. You have to keep the laws of the Shabbat. You have to say Kiddush on Shabbat. The assays, the thing that you have to do on Shabbat, and Shamar, guard the Shabbat, not to violate the Shabbat. There's the do's and the don'ts of Shabbat. And one bundle represents the Zachar, one bundle represents the remembering of the Shabbat to sanctify it, and one bundle represents Shamar Yom Shabbat, not to violate the Shabbat. I think and look now, L'chad Keneged Shamar, guard the Shabbat. Amalei. So if Shimon says Lebrei, he says to his son, Chazei, see my son, look, Kama Chavivin mitzvot al Yisrael. Look how cherished and beloved are mitzvot on the Jewish community. The fact that they go ahead and they buy 2 bundles just because they want this message and this mindset to remember Zacharet Yom HaShabbat and Shamaret Yom HaShabbat, and which is an amazing thing when Jews love mitzvot, when they go out of their way for mitzvot, like when you hidur mitzvah, when you beautify a mitzvah, it shows your love for a mitzvah. So yativ daitayu. So then they felt much better. Now they have a much better outlook on the Jewish community. When they came out of the cave, they saw certain things. People are busy and things that they said that they felt they could have not have to do. They could have been more involved in Torah and mitzvot.
Was it worse when they came out?
What do you explain? What's your question? If it's worth
12 years later.
right. I mean, it didn't say where the people were 12 years before. It only said 12 years before is what that Shimon Yochai spoke negatively on the government. It didn't say where the Jewish people were. But when they came out of the cave, after 12 years, they were upset. And then then they went back into and after being upset, it caused trouble for the people. There was fires against the people. They went back into the cave. Then his son was still upset. He was much more compassionate, the father of Shimon Yochai. But now that they see the Jewish people are careful in the love of the mitzvah of Shabbat, the way by buying these hadassim, now they have a much better outlook at the Jewish community. Now they're looking at the positive. What do you say? Right. The people seem to stay the same. But how you look at the glass is half full, or the glass is half full, and the glass is half empty. But where are you going to focus your attention, and how are you going to move forward? And maybe that's what originally they were more judging the people on the emptiness of the cup, and now they're looking at the positive side of things more, and they're focusing on that, and therefore how cherished a mitzvah, and therefore yativ daitayu, and they felt much better about the situation of the Jewish community. There's a lot of hope for the Jewish community that even if the Jewish people are not spending all their time appropriately, but the fact is when they're doing a lot of great things, that is something which is very special. Shomer Pinchas ben Yoir Chotnei. Pinchas ben Yoir, he's a famous figure that we know about. He was some have a text that he was a son-in-law or a father-in-law. We'll go with the text. He was a son-in-law of Rav Shimon ben Yochai. Okay, there's the different opinions, different whatever he was, son-in-law, father-in-law, and v'nafik la'pei. He went to greet his father-in-law. We'll go with that shot, whatever shot you want to say. Alei lebei banei. He brought his father to the bathhouse. He brought Rav Shimon Yochai to the bathhouse. Havika orich leil b'srei. So Pinchas ben Yoir was smoothing out the skin of Rav Shimon in the bathhouse, and while he was smoothing out the skin of Rav Shimon ben Yochai, Chazei dehave bei pili begufei. he saw that Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, because he was in the cave for 12 years in the sand, there were cracks in his skin, like some people have in the winter time. You get cracks in the, I sometimes you get cracks on the hand. So, but I can imagine, you can just imagine the skin and the body of being in the cave, and Havikabochi and Pinchas ben Yair, by seeing the great Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai with all these cracks on his body, he cried, "Kanatru demat einei v'kasav chilei." And the irony was, the Gemara says, when Rabbi Pinchas cried, his tears fell into the cracks of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai's body, and that obviously caused pain to Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai because of the saltiness of the tears. And Amalei, so Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said to Rabbi Shimon, "Oily, woe to me, sharaticha b'kach. Woe to me that I see you, the great Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, that you have such cracks on your body." And look at the amazing response of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. So what does he say? Amalei Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Ashrecha, you're fortunate, sharatini b'kach. You're fortunate that you see me have these cracks on my body. Because if I would not have these cracks, are indicating the time that I spent 12 years in the cave, and now I'm a different person. I'm a much more greater person than I was before. So malei lo ratini b'kach. If I would not have sat in the cave, you wouldn't see me like this. Lo matata b'kach. You wouldn't have found in me the knowledge of Torah that I have today. The type of person I am today, I'm a much greater person. So that's an amazing thing. Now, Rabbi Shimon Yochai is looking at the positive about himself, that the 12 years he went through such difficulties, such terrible pains. But Gamzel Torah, he looked at the positive side, but look what I gained. I became so much more wiser in Torah. I'm a different person now. He says, and because and the Gemara explains, before he went to the cave, Kavimakshi, when Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai would ask a kusha question, then having Mafrikle, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, whether it's a son-in-law or father-in-law, would give 12 different answers, 12 different approaches how we can answer your question. Well, but after Shimon ben Yochai was in the cave for 12 years plus another year, total of 13 years in the cave. I wonder if the number 13 is like the Yud Gimel Midat Rachamim, that we gotta have mercy. When Pinchas ben Yair would ask a question, good morning. He gave 24 answers, double. He doubled what the other rabbi did 13 years before. I am now double what he was, because if he has one question, I have 24 answers to that question. So that's a beautiful way Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai looked at his personal situation, his personal problem, his cracks on his body, but he looked at the positive side. No one should ever have any cracks on their body. But it's a big lesson from Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Have a great day, everybody. We'll continue on Monday. I want to wish everyone a Chodesh Tov. It should be a beautiful,
You too,
beautiful
Rabbi.
month.
Thank you.
Chodesh Tov, Rabbi.
Chodesh Tov.
Beautiful crown on the
Shabbat shalom.
screen. Thank you, Ralph is back. Jaime is back. And we thank everyone. Beautiful crowd in person as well. And
Chodesh Tov.
Hi, Mark.
What's doing, H?
Not much.
I know you're doing good. I heard you went to lunch with the boys. You went to that what is it called? Rothschild. Good, right? Very nice.
Rabbi,
Excellent.
What do you got this morning? You have a breakfast date?
No date.
You want to have breakfast with me?
I gotta come there.
I'll come to you.
Okay, I love you, Mark.
You want it, or you're not up to it today?
Text me.
Okay, you got it. I love you.
Love you. Bye, Mark. Thank you.
Rabbi,
Chodesh
I'm having
Tov.
trouble getting on. It's taking me like 10 minutes. You gotta help me with that.
Yes, Anna, I'm going to
Yeah,
ask.
Ralph, I see you're calling the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
I'm gonna repost the link.
Okay.
Ralph, if you look on the top of the if you
What's
look
that?
on the top of the chat, it's
Yeah.
in like after the description. Let me show you. Hold on a minute. I'm going to show you where to look.
Just be careful.
Okay, be careful. If you
I'll tell you that.
If
Right,
you-
I'm pulling over right now, so hold on.
if you touch, if you look at the top of the chat and you
Yeah.
touch the rabbi's name, like
Yes,
at the top, you touch his name,
yes,
and then you see, tells you how many members, tells you a voice call, and then the
Right.
next, it gives you the HTTP.
right, right,
Right, if you touch that, it goes,
Mhm.
brings you straight in.
okay. I
Don't,
figured-
don't, you understand what I'm saying? If you go to
Yes.
the top of the thing,
Right, right,
you touch the rabbi's name,
right.
and
Then
then
go to the bottom.
you go to the middle of that thing, it gives you the HTTP,
Right,
like,
right,
touch that, and you'll go straight in.
okay. Monday, photo stove, everybody.
It has always been done. זו משנה על שמו. סוף משנה בסוטה, יש משנה על שם זה יאיר. זה לא מצטער שהוא סתם לא. לא משנה. לא משנה, תמיד יש.
Take care, Ralph. Have a great day. Father's Tov.
Same here, Rabbi, photo stove.
Take care. Thank you.